So Nick Khan finally broke his silence and said on the air that the WWE is not known internally as a wrestling company. It's just WWE. They don't use that term wrestling in his words. I'm thinking to myself, why on earth are you saying something so ludicrous? Well, it's not surprising that the guy said something like this because he was responsible for firing 40 billion people. It's ridiculous. So, the company doesn't refer to it as a wrestling company. Do you see AMC going around saying we're not a movie theater chain? You see Real Cinemas doing that one? You see Chrysler saying we're not a car selling company, or Ford, or Buick, or BMW? You see them doing stuff like that? You're a wrestling company not only because you have wrestling in your name of your company, but because every single show that you do has wrestling on it. If you have an arm drag, a body slam, a hip toss, those are wrestling moves. They aren't boxing moves where it's a left hook or right hook, an uppercut, a straight, a jab, a hook, a cross. No, you're a wrestling company. You have leg screws, you have drop kicks. Those are wrestling moves. Every single show you do has wrestling on it. And now you're going to go on the air and say that you're not a wrestling company? Like I said, when it's in your name and every show you do, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, main event there, whatever, it has wrestling on the show. Unless you eliminate the wrestling completely, unless you have just promos, unless you have just angles or whatever, it's a wrestling company. What if the entire show of NXT was just, I don't know, golf, basketball, or bowling? The entire show. That show wouldn't be called a wrestling show. But that show has wrestling on. Every single show has a ring. It has wrestlers doing wrestling moves on there. So don't lie to yourselves and say that you're a wrestling company, because we all know that's BS. Look, it's one thing to say that the NFL consider themselves more than just football, which is fine because you want to do more than just football. But for you to denounce who you really are when everything you do is all about football, dude, that company and him needs to get real. Look, wrestling is what you were founded on, but for some reason you want to disavow yourself because you want to assume that everything is, not wrestling, which is BS. You're wrestling, everyone knows it, casuals know it, a child knows it, and you're going to denounce it in your company? If you don't want to say wrestling in the company, you just want to say WWE, go for it. But to denounce wrestling or the word wrestlers, especially on the air, when they're actually wrestling and when they're doing, and they are wrestlers, they put their bodies on the line, and what's the alternative for being a wrestler? What, a sports entertainer? And they sports entertain in the ring? They do wrestling moves because they are wrestling moves. Is that why, secretly, is that why you told Michael Cole all those years ago to not actually say the wrestling move names, to just say it's a move and only call the name of signature moves? Maybe that's it. Because the Ring of Honor, they definitely call the names out of moves on there all the time. Like a tope, a suicida, a leg screw, a cross arm breaker. They call the names of moves all the damn time. In Impact, they do that as well. But the only company that doesn't do that is the only company stupid enough to come up with the idea of Nikki ASH. And for a contenders match when you're already in the match, yeah, that stupid ass company, Beat the Clock Challenge, 5 gauntlet matches in 6 weeks, rematch after rematch after rematch. That stupid ass company, they don't want to consider themselves wrestling? Sheesh. No wonder you disrespect the fans every single week. So, yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments. Clack off.